In the next 5 years, AI will take your video production labor job, and right now there's nothing you can do about it. Now, the reason why I make this video is because all of this, which is OpenAI SORA, which released a few days ago and really sent the internet going crazy. It made videographers and filmmakers and video production companies say, is there any business for me at all? And will I be homeless? In case you wondered, even Mr. Beast said to Sam Altman, please don't make me homeless. Just like ChatGPT or Midjourney, I'm going to put in a prompt, which is a stylish woman walking down a Tokyo street, and generate me video. And the video is just unbelievable. It also takes her as a character from a wide shot into a close-up shot, and it's the same person. It's going to negate any need for stock footage, for B-roll, and the possibilities with this are endless. This video is not about Sora. It's about what the solution is. Now, just so you know, my name is Brett Morris. I run Cafeteria Studios. It's a New York-based creative agency that makes video content for clients like Visa and Porsche and Pepsi, amongst others. We also started the Codex, which in 2019, it's a business accelerator to help creative entrepreneurs just like yourself get ahead of the technology curve, how to adapt to your business and really make money where technology is going. So what happens is we have a bit of a feedback loop. So what's working in our video production company then gets passed along to our clients, people like you, and then we've got a big community that incorporates their learnings as well. So what I want to cover is where we are now with the technology. I'm going to show case studies and case uses of what we do with this new AI technology. We're going to talk about where in the near future, probably less than 2 years, probably in the next year, some really scary stuff is going to happen. And then what the solution to the problem is for yourself if you work in the video production world. If you are a DP, a director, we're going to talk about how to get ahead of the curve before it's too late. So my hope is that it will guide your thinking, going with that drastic change in technology that is happening, as opposed to being upset or hurt and behind the times in 5 years once this industry has completely changed and adapted and adopted to this almost complete AI workflow for image and audio and content generation. It is scary and uncertain, but there's a way through it if you accept this as a challenge, see the fun in this, and then also build where the industry is going, not what has been done in the past. Really, what made me want to do this video was I was on Reddit videographer yesterday, and as soon as Sora came out, I mean, people were going crazy and saying, I don't really want to be negative, but is this a viable career choice? Is our market going to be undercut? The first quote that I want to start with was actually from 2007 when Steve Jobs launched the iPhone for the very first time. And he brought up this quote, which was, I want to skate to where the puck is going to be, not where it has been. So in today's terms, I really want to get you thinking about skate to where the puck is going, not where the puck is right now, and not get upset that, the way things have been working for us right now, I'm charging $5,000 a day for my camera gear. Well, guess what? That's probably not going to be the case in 2 years. So we've already talked about Sora AI. The rate of technology, because they have just unlimited NVIDIA GPUs for training, here's in 1 year the difference between the same prompt on Midjourney, which is images just for photographers. This is the same prompt between April 2022 and April 2023. So if you can imagine where that'll happen with video, it's going to be remarkable. This is not just science fiction or theory. I actually took this today on my walk to lunch. Here's an example outside a big sports bar. I was looking at this image and I go, oh, it's something weird about it. Looks different. This is a big beer company right outside the Starbucks. And I looked at it closely. I go, oh, you know what? That's actually AI. So here's an ad where they're pretending to be a bunch of sports fans. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 models, all cheering. That would have been, $9,000 just in actors alone, plus set, plus photographer fees, plus retouching. And this was probably done within one prompt in Midjourney a couple different times. So this isn't science fiction. We are going there. Even within our own business, we are doing a ton of AI and kind of can show you now how it's integrated in your workflow if you're a video production company and where to go from here. What happens is in the next 2, 3, 4 years, anyone in the labor line item, let's think of a budget. We're going to talk about above the line and below the line. Any line item that is labor is going to be consolidated. It's going to be eliminated due to technology advancements. That's just how things are going to work. Even in our own business, we've been able to say, well, why don't we just save $1,500 a day for a sound person? We're doing a talking head interview and the DaVinci vocal isolation or Clarity RX by Waves is super effective. All we need to do is slap a lav on them. And so what if there's fan noise? And so what if it's roomy or echoey? We'll be able to fix it in post. Okay, well, now we've saved $1,500. Those savings can then be either passed along to the client. The client wants to say, hey, how can we take more of this budget that we've got for projects and invest it into ad spend invest it into our own infrastructure, or ourselves as a creative company, we can hang on to that money, and that's actually more profit for us. Even things like Relight in DaVinci Resolve or generative AI fill from Adobe has saved us multiple lines on gaffers, on grip, on art directors, even prop rentals. We did a commercial recently where we shot in an empty soundstage and used AI generative fill from Adobe and set decked it to look like someone's kind of, expensive apartment. So we saved on prop rentals, we saved on art directors. I heard one of our producers was using ChatGPT the other day to not only figure out what wardrobe should be. So they were saying like, hey, this is wardrobe for a mom in a bank commercial. These are the brand colors. But then say, hey, send me 5 links to Amazon. So they don't even need to go out and shop for these items anymore. They can just set AI to go tell me, okay, what's some good wardrobe options to use, and then go buy them on Amazon. There's even things like Opus, which is short form editing content. So all the way down to labor of editing. All these things are going to be reduced. Sound, lighting, art, they're already being downsized. And truthfully, any line item of labor that you can think of will continue to do so. And we'll show you some scary stuff. Even if you're a director of photography, roles that you think would be essential in the creative process will be removed due to technology. I want to show you, what's going to happen in 2 years once Sora from OpenAI really kicks into fine gear. I think about an ad that we did recently for Pepsi, and we did it for Smirnoff as well. It was kind of a co-pro branding thing. So in 2 years from now, what will this look like? Well, if this is the product, say it's this can of lemonade, I'll be able to, on my smartphone, take a couple photos of this, send it into the AI and say, okay, this is the model that whenever I reference a can, this is the image that I want to do. Let's talk about what this ad was. This was a $125,000 spot for these groups. Where did that money go to? Okay, well, we had to rent a big studio. That was $4,500 a day. This is a sky backdrop. So that was like $2,000 a day. All of that is going to be generated in the future. Props, art, stylist. We had to pay a food stylist. We had to pay for food, for lemon, for ice that was perfect for TV. The actor, the talent, it was a union job. That's $10,000 a day for the hand model. All of this will just be image generated within the next 2 years, easily, if not earlier, based on here's the model of the product that I want to use. Please insert this into here. So even editing, which I know was a big part of the budget, it was about 45 grand. We had to edit 20 plus short form contents for different languages and for different markets and different products. So this is all going away. All the way we made our money and the way that you are currently making your money is all going to go away. I even thought forward to, okay, here's a guy that I really love. He's a DP by the name of Chris Albert, because a lot of the things that people say is, well, how can they replace the human spirit? And how can they replace, the human person talking? Well, I know how this is going to work. And in a few years, we're going to get to the place where here's Chris's big setup. This is his big lighting setup when he uses on 60 Minutes. Here's all his book light setup with his apertures that are feeding big Lecos into the back and all his magic grid cloth and multi-cameras. We're going to get to a place where a producer from 60 Minutes will be either able to put their iPhone with LiDAR in the room. It will take a whole view of the whole room, make a mesh around it, and then take that information and then put it into AI, and you'll be able to put any backdrop you want. You'll be able to say, hey, listen, maybe I want this dark backdrop, or I want it to be trained on Chris Albert's images when he was shooting in a courtroom, or when he was shooting in a jail, or when he was shooting in a library. And it will be the producer, the high-end creative person who will be saying, I want the look to be like this. This will probably even be able to be done on Zoom. Think about how if I were to shoot a Zoom interview right now, it will scan the space and say it's cut off from the neck down, be able to widen the space with generative AI. What it's then doing is again, showing that the labor in this, there's easily sound and gaffer and DP and camera assists and on-set PAs and rental houses. All of this stuff will be able to go away. And I'm not trying to scare you. It's years, months away from now. So in this type of instance of where technology is going, there's really only 2 ways to survive and profit from this future. The first, which is not myself and maybe not you, it could be you if you want to raise a bunch of tech money, is to have endless resources for computer science engineers, to have endless NVIDIA GPUs to create and train your own AI generative models, right? So if you are the next OpenAI, if you're the next Midjourney, absolutely go for it. But if not, the solution is to eliminate labor from how you make your money and focus on creative management. So what it means is you will be making money through your creative thinking and your creative problem solving. This is a call to arms to say if you're relying on earning a living from your labor in your creative business, now is the time to begin considering pivoting towards where the work is going to be. The easiest way to solidify how this is going to be and think about it in terms of a creative production budget is if you understand the concept of above or below the line. Typically, if you're doing a television show or a movie, the key creatives are above the line. So if you're a producer, if you're a writer, if you're a director, if you're an executive producer, you make money based on how the project succeeds. You get a percentage of the budget, and then you get a percentage of the earnings based on whether you sell to certain markets or whether you sell to video on demand or anything like that. Below the line is anything that it costs to make the project. That's crew members. That's the sets. That's the rentals. That's the post-production. That's anything like that. We want to get you in a headspace of focusing your business and your efforts to be above the line. Anything below the line is easily going to be wiped out by technology. Even AI background actors, that would fall below the line. It's going to get eliminated. So think about where your work is happening. If you're a videographer that's capturing weddings, we're going to get to the space in the next 5 years that will have 2 or 3 360 cameras placed around the spot. And we won't actually need to be up in the bride's face to capture the cake cutting or the first I do's. It will all be able to be generated from the mesh model and triangulating points that then become vectors that will then up-res the images to any frame size or any angle we want. This is coming very, very fast. Again, not trying to scare you, but just to say you need to adapt. You need to adapt quickly. This really is the next phase of the creative economy. We're moving from a world where you're compensating based on what you know. So if you know how to light a scene, if you know how to hang a Leica, if you know how to operate a camera, if you know how to live stream with your Blackmagic in 4K, into one where you're compensated for how well you can allocate intelligence. And when we say intelligence, I'm talking about AI models, I'm talking about technology, I'm talking about creative intelligence, creative problem solving. In this world, every individual contributor, every solopreneur, every freelancer now becomes a manager. And that's the biggest thought process and the biggest change that you need to shift is from a maker to a manager. And we had this video back in 2020 in our Codex program, which is about ascending up from a maker to a manager to the magnate. We're going to go from makers to managers. We're going to go from doing the work to learning how to allocate the resources, choosing which work is going to be done and editing the work when it's not good enough. It really means a transition from a knowledge economy to an allocation economy. You're not going to be judged on how much you know, but instead on how well you can allocate and manage these resources to get the work done. You're going to be a manager of people, a manager of technology, and also a salesperson that's going to be selling your services to companies as opposed to being in the field and capturing the content on the ground. We have been touting this for the last 4 years easily. This is where we knew the economy was going. This is an excerpt from our Creative Business Codex program talking about how creative freelancers, how makers spend their time. We say right here, 80% of the time is doing the work. 3% is prospecting for clients. Maybe they deal with their finances or they think about the future, where at the end of the day, we want to get you to that manager level or the magnate level where you're running an entire corporation where you're focused more on marketing and prospecting and selling to your clients. You're creative consulting on the work. You're implementing talent and operations. You're innovating where the future is going and how you're going to incorporate that into your business. This is content that we created 4 years ago, and it's quite scary to see how much this is coming true. So what this really dials down to is also the growth trajectory of a video production company. When we talk about our growth steps, it really starts in the early beginning stages as a solo freelancer, a solo videographer. Hey, listen, I'm going to come in, I'm going to capture some event, or I'm going to capture a story about your company's brand. It then goes up into the second level, which is building an actual company. So this is a production company where we get paid based on project-based work. This is where a lot of production companies can start making, okay, well, now I'm going to make high 6 figures as a person that's running my company, is managing my company. But the problem with this is it's only kind of one-off jobs. Our next pivot that we turn to when we grow our company is to become a creative agency. What we want to do is have annual or multi-annual contracts with companies. So that means that we have consistent cash flow. We're able to hire employees. In this production company level, we're working with freelancers for the most part. If we are an agency of record with a company, We're able to say, okay, we know that we can forecast we're going to be making X number of dollars over the next year, so we can afford to hire in-house project managers, in-house editors, in-house, whatever it may be. And then the fourth step in the growth step along this creative services industry is to be a full service agency, which means we're not just creating video production. We're not just coming up with creative copy. We're actually implementing it in a holistic model. So we're going to deal with your strategy. We're going to buy the ads. We're going to run your social media. Those are kind of the growth steps that we teach our clients within the Codex. So when you think about what are the steps between going from the maker, doing the labor, to the manager, running the operations, to the magnate, which is then overseeing your entire company, it really does tie in with the growth steps of how you run as a freelancer to your production company, to your creative agency, which is, you're writing the copy, you're doing the creative work, and then a full service agency. So I want to just talk a little bit about questions people saying, well, like, hey, Brett, if this is so easy to do, if it's so easy to type into Sora and I want to do a Pepsi commercial and I want it to have lemons and I want the hand model to have white fingernails, won't this just be swallowed up by the companies? If you're a tow truck company and you want to do a brand story and you can do it by using Sora, well, why wouldn't they just do it? Or why wouldn't Pepsi do it? That was a fear of mine for a long time, especially when we started seeing companies build small in-house production companies. I said, oh my God, we're gonna lose it based on margin. What we found was they're doing small jobs that don't require tons of specialty when it comes to execution. Companies will continue to focus on what they do best and not bother with what they can't do. They don't care to deal with this stuff. A perfect example is, I'll say this trucking story quickly. I've got a friend who runs a trucking company in Cleveland, Ohio, and he makes millions of dollars. And I was speaking with him and I was kind of like, well, aren't you afraid of AI trucks? The next Tesla truck eating up your business. If I'm Pepsi and I need to get my Pepsi products from this manufacturing plant to this warehouse, I can just buy those Tesla trucks and tell them to, pick them up here, drive them there, and then I'll be done. He goes, well, first of all, it's not going to happen for two reasons. One, I'm very excited for AI truck drivers because I don't have to then deal with people. He goes, do you know the number of people that don't show up and I have to go pick up the product myself, or the people that I have to deal with, or they're late, or they screw things up, or they just don't show up. So I love AI. And what's great about this founder, and I kind of want to also show it to you, which is you don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater as this world is changing very rapidly. There will still be opportunities for you to flex your creative muscles, for you to still operate a camera, and for you to be creative, and for you to edit, and for you to choose music, and for you to storytell in the NLE. This trucking operator guy has his long haul trucking license. For these reasons, when a guy doesn't show up on to the site and he has to go pick up the product from Pepsi himself. So my next question was, well, why doesn't Pepsi just create their own infrastructure? Like, why are they paying you an enormous amount of money, which they are, to transport their things? He goes, well, that's not their specialty. They're not going to do it. It's a headache. They don't have the experience. They don't care to have the experience. We're going to go to the experts. And so that's what I want you to think of when it comes to this next phase. Don't be afraid of all our work is going to be swallowed up by people and kids that can do it in-house. These companies will always want to go to the experts in the field as long as you're positioned in that place. This is a great quote from Sam Altman, who's the CEO of OpenAI. He has a group chat conversation with a bunch of his other billionaire tech founder friends, and they're placing bets on when the first one-person billion-dollar company will exist. So how can you create a company that's $1 billion that's run completely by one person and AI? I want you to start thinking about how can you run a creative production company and creative services agency with this model, because it is possible. So the model essentially in 2025, let's call it next year, it will be you, the creative founder, working with a host of freelancers, both in-person freelancers, but also people in the cloud, artificial intelligence, cloud models, Sora, Midjourney. I even saw 11 Labs, which is a company that clones your voices, is now cloning sound effects. So you can input video of a busy street or of a carnival, and they're going to spit out AI-generated sound effects. So that's who you are going to be working with. You are the creative founder, and your skills will rely on the ability to be a storyteller, to manage those resources, and to, like we said, be a salesperson for your own firm to other companies. That's going to be the key skills. At the Codex, we do teach a model that operates from the principles of, if I asked your mom who knew nothing about video production to run your company, how would it operate? So how are you able to build a business that can run strictly on operations, where if you took yourself out of the labor equation, of the executing on the work as being the maker, you were then the manager of your business, how would that operate? And that's something that we teach from ground one. And that's something that we've been teaching from the very beginning. And that's how these new businesses within the future will have to be run. So it's your job now to pivot your business model from, I'm going to make 50% of my income as the maker. I'm going to, not worry about the days that I've worked on set, the days that I've spent editing the projects. It's your time now to begin to think about, okay, 5 years from now, when all of this technology will be in place and I won't be able to bill $1,000 for my gear or, $5,000 for my directing on the day rate, shooting in these days, how is my business going to run and how is my business going to survive? So the time now is to begin to think about 5 years from now, how are you going to be positioned in the marketplace once that technology is adopted? How will you be the leader within that field? You won't be scared, you won't be caught off guard because you know this is where we're going, and you'll be able to manage the creative projects for others. Again, I'm not trying to scare you and say, we're not going to have fun. We love this type of work and we do this type of work because we love to create and we love to be creative. It's just a different type of creative process that we're going to be running. It's your job to not be lost in the minutia and be, torn down and saying, oh my God, why aren't things the way they were? It's your job now to be excited about how we can build this company for the future. If this is something that you want to implement within your business, if you want to be ahead of the curve, if you want to have a quick chat about your business and where things are headed, feel free to click the link below. It's the-codex.com/demo. We can chat for half an hour about your business and how we can get ahead of the curve of these things, how we can stop being paid for our time, being paid for our labor, and really build a business in the creative world that is paid based on our ideas and our execution and our allocation of knowledge and information and creativity. So I'm also going to post these notes in the video description below. Feel free to chat. Let's talk more about this future. It's exciting times if we go where the puck is going, not where the puck has been. Talk to you soon. Take care.